Today, we're gonna take a look at the ePEBO. I'm not quite sure of exactly how it works, but we're gonna learn together. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. This is the Brew channel. I'm Hurston, and I'm gonna be your guide on learning all that we can about coffee, tea, and infusion beverages, and how we can brew whatever we brew better. So today we have the ePEBO. I've been hyping this up a little bit since the channel began because honestly, I've been very excited about what's in this box. I've watched a couple of videos and I kind of think I know how this is going to work out, but honestly, I won't know until I actually use the device. And we're gonna actually take a look at using the device today as well. Now, I have some other brewing methods that are a little less expensive than this one. The good news is that the price of the ePEBO is relatively affordable right now. I took a look on the internet and saw that Target, I believe, is actually selling these for about $49.99. I'll put the link in the description below so that you can click on it and hopefully it'll be the same price when you get there. But it's on sale right now as I'm talking about this. So we're gonna actually open this box, take a look at the components that are inside. I know, another unboxing video. Yes, this is going to be a bit of an unboxing video, but honestly, just this falls in line with all of the hardware that we're gonna be using to brew our different coffees along this journey. So this is gonna be one of the few times, and I think there may be 2 or 3 other times coming up where we're actually gonna open the box and see what's in it. I feel like there's a little bit of value in doing this because you never know what you're going to get necessarily, and if you can have some type of expectation on what you should see in the box, that may also help you out as well. So we're gonna go ahead and open this box and we're gonna take a look at all the components and the parts that are inside. We may glance at the instructions, even though, like I said before, I've already watched a video on it from Bodum, but it couldn't hurt to take a look at the instructions if they're in the box. And then we're gonna actually brew with this thing. So I just wanna clear a couple of things up. Going forward, I wanna make sure that I am catering to what I've observed based on what the data has told me. And what it has told me is that the first couple of videos were pretty long, and that's okay. If you're cool with long format, drop that in the comments below and let me know. I love long format videos, but until I get that feedback, we're gonna go ahead and shorten these things just a bit. We're gonna focus on one brewing method at a time, but we're gonna have multiple videos rolling out within the next couple of weeks, just so that we keep with the pace of having a couple of brew methods available and visible to you. So I'm gonna actually focus on just this device here, just the ePEBO, for this video. And then for the next few videos, we're gonna focus on the other brewing methods that we're gonna use, but we're just gonna do them in their own respective videos. I wanna make sure that I honor the time that you're actually spending getting to know me, as well as joining this channel and then watching the content. So in order to honor and respect your time, we're actually gonna shoot one device per video going forward until we get into actually brewing some of the coffees that we have lined up, and in my opinion, they're really good coffees. So let's take a look at what's in this box. All right, so we're gonna start unboxing the ePEBO. So on the back, like you've seen with probably many boxes, there are these little tabs. I'm just gonna open those up. Pull the lid open here, pull the lid open here. All right. When you first open the box, what you actually see is there's this encyclopedia of, no, I'm just kidding. It's not an encyclopedia. Do you all even know what an encyclopedia? I think most of you know what an encyclopedia is. Anyway, this is a guide, I would imagine, for how to use, clean, and just operate the ePEBO, which is something that's important. I will say this, as thick as this looks, this is about all that there is to read within the book, at least when it comes to the English portion. There are multiple languages in here. I think that's probably what's eating up a lion's share of the book. So just this very thin part, I'm gonna take a look. It's about 13 pages. And then if you take out maybe 1 or 2 pages that are just kind of the safeguards, and and then it's got like a part diagram here. So, and they're counting that as one of the pages. So not too lengthy in terms of what you need to read to get started with this. So we're gonna put this to the side and we're gonna see what else is in this box. Okay, little piece of spacer cardboard. Another piece of spacer cardboard. I would imagine they're trying to make sure that they keep this thing very secure because it is glass. And so they probably want to just make sure that nothing breaks while in commute. Cool, little spoon. Of course, that's for scooping our coffee. And that will be very helpful. Oh, all right. Now we're actually getting into the machine and its components. All right, so it looks like here we have the reservoir. Oh, look, it's plastic. So we have the reservoir where the water starts and where the coffee ends up. And so I'll take this, it's like medical grade tape off of here. Drop that on the plastic, just toss that over there. All right, so I'll just hold this up to the camera a little bit closer. Hopefully we can trigger it to gain. There it is, the focus. So it's got some measurements on there. It might have just lost the focus. And in the meantime, it's making my head look weird. Oh, there we go. You can kind of see it there. All right, so we've got some measurements on there, which will be really helpful when it's time to make like maybe a larger pot of coffee for those of you who will be serving more than one person, or if you're just that one person who wants to down what they call the equivalent of 8 cups of coffee. That's me. And you have that option as well. So we'll put this off to the side. Pull this out. This is the heating base. And so had some more protective cardboard. So here's why I went for this device. There are other vacuum coffee makers, even made by Bodum. Here's the thing. They require a very specific type of heating source. In most cases, you have to use like a mini propane heater of some sort, or maybe some type of cooktop. This actually is pretty self-contained. So you have this base that the coffee maker actually sits on. Of course, it is electrical. And essentially you just plug this into the wall and hit the button, the power up. It also has a little button called keep warm on there. We'll see if we can get it to focus. See, you got the power button and we got keep warm. So I love the keep warm feature on a lot of these devices. It's great. It makes sure to kind of regulate how much heat it continues to send to the pot. And so it prevents the coffee, at least I think, from burning, because it's going to supply probably even and consistent heat. And I didn't show this before, but take a look at the bottom of this thing. Yeah, so that's where, you know, you drop it on the base, probably like this. And now you've gotten the first part of this device built. All right, I'll take out the last component. More spacing. Cool. All right, so this is the top reservoir. This is let it go, plastic. This is where all the proverbial magic happens. No, but seriously, this is actually where the coffee gets made in this device. So I'll set this on top of here very carefully. Actually, before I get too far ahead of myself, which I've probably already done, this top component is glass. This bottom component is plastic. Glass, plastic, glass, plastic. Keep that in mind when you're having to remove this unit to actually get your coffee. It is breakable. So you'll want to remember that when it's time to pull this unit off, which you will have to do because it'll be done with the brewing process. You'll want to make sure that you remember that this is glass, even though this is plastic. One more time, glass, plastic. All right, so very cool looking device. Again, more of that looks like medical grade tape on the top just to keep things secure. I'm gonna pull that off, drop this here, make sure there's nothing else extra in the box. Doesn't look like there is. Let's see. Oh, no, that's more space and cardboard. We're just gonna. Yeah. Nah, we're good. We're good. I'm just playing. All right, so this this reservoir, this top reservoir, has this little. Hopefully we can get it to focus on it. There you go. That black component, that's a rubber seal. Okay, so if you're wondering how is it going to keep the liquid, especially the hot liquid, contained, and how does it make sure that it doesn't like spew out or whatever? It's got a little silicone unit there, and then it's got its own like separate lid. What's cool about this is the lid. This is plastic, and then there's like a little rubber, like a rubberized handle right here. So it's a great thing. It's that this piece is not glass, because I would imagine that this top component gets really hot, because this is essentially, like I said, where the coffee brews. So once the water heats, so hang on, once the water heats in the bottom, and it gets to a certain temperature, it actually raises to the top. Once it raises to the top, then it's time to pour in your coffee. And from all the videos I've seen, you agitate it a little bit, you stir it a bit. You want to make sure all the coffee grounds get wet, so that you get the best level of infusion possible that you can get out of this machine. And then once all of that has happened, and it hits a certain point of infusion, it will then actually drop back down into this unit. So let's take a quick look at the guide and see if there's any extra information in here that we need to know before we actually get brewing with this thing. But as you can see, or at least as I think you can see, this unit looks pretty cool. Like, you know, it has a nice little bottom reservoir, top reservoir. The water starts here, boils, rises to the top, pour in your coffee, mixes with the coffee, infuses, drops back down into this unit for serving. So it's kind of a cool little device that you can break out if you want to be fancy, or if you want to show something cool to your friend. This is the kind of device that can do that. There are multiple versions of the vacuum coffee maker. This is just the one I went with, like I said before, because the heating element and heating unit is self-contained. So that was a big thing for me. When I bought this, it was a little more expensive. And again, I believe, at least when you see this video, it is on sale, and I'll put the link in the description below. There's some things that I want to make sure that I reiterate, because I don't know when you're coming in on this video. I just want to make sure that I respect when you're dropping in to see us. So, all right, in this guide, okay, it's just kind of breaking down the parts that should be in here. I believe we have everything that we are looking for. Funnel lid, filter, funnel gasket. Cool. Won't dig in too deep into that. All right, and it appears that the steps are exactly as I explained it. Water, then coffee. As water boils, rises to the top, mixes with the coffee. And so here's something that's interesting. Okay. Good to know. Okay, so what I've realized upon inspecting this trusty guide here is that they actually have 3 different brewing suggestions. In one instance, you can just drop the water in the bottom component, the base of this, and you can allow it to boil. And as it's boiling, you will actually load the coffee in here first. Once the coffee is loaded in here first, the water will then go up into the top unit and brew coffee that's already there. Okay, so you put the grounds in as this is boiling, and then once it hits a certain boiling point, all the water will shoot to the top. It'll do all of its infusing up here at the top, and then the water will or the coffee, I'm sorry, will return back down to the bottom of the unit. So that's pretty cool. That's brewing method number 1 that they're recommending. Brewing method number 2 is very similar to brewing method number 1 in that this unit at the top, you actually put coffee in it. The difference is that if you're doing brewing method 2, they're essentially saying that you can set this unit in here. But apparently this thing sits in this lid in some form or fashion. You can actually go ahead and, it appears, load the coffee into this. Ah, got it. So you're supposed to pull this down like that, you see? So let me see if I can get close. So this little thing that's dangling right here, you have to like pull this down, and it sits on the outside during the brewing process. Just on this, boom. All right, so that little bitty chain thing. And then in order for it to sit on the stand, you have to pull this part down a little bit, get it to recess into that tube, and then you can actually use the top to set it in here. And that's interesting. The one thing about this method that I find pretty intriguing is, and I don't know if you all can see this, but okay, so when I sit this on this lid, inside the component down here that handles like keeping the grounds in place, it doesn't look like it stays down. It looks like it raises up. In my opinion, that could be a little problematic because that may in theory force your grounds down into the bottom reservoir, which is not what we want, because I would imagine it could cause some problems with having grounds directly on the heating unit, and then it'll also ultimately have you have grounds in your coffee. So brewing method 1 and 2, where you set this in the lid, I get the novelty of it. I think it's a cool concept. I probably won't be doing it that way. And the good news for us is that there actually is a third brewing method, which actually goes into what I mentioned before, where we put the water in the bottom reservoir, we allow it to hit its boiling point, it then rises up into the top of the machine, then we pour the coffee into that, okay? And then after we pour that coffee in, we give it a little stir, a little agitation just to make sure all the grounds are moist. And then it does its thing, and then the coffee proceeds to drop back down into the bottom part of the unit. I think that's the route that I'm going to take because I don't know that I'll be able to control or keep the grounds from dropping down into the bottom reservoir should I use the top, which doubles as a place to store the top unit. And now I will say, that is cool. The fact that this lid also doubles as like a base that you can set the top unit on, because once everything has brewed, you will need to put this top unit somewhere. You cannot serve it with this in there. And so it's nice that this does double as that. And it's cool that I can just adjust this little tension rod or whatever and then slide this down onto this unit and then have it sit off on the side. I like the idea of that. I think that is cool. That's a really nice feature, and that's a really smart design. So I think that's a good place to stop because we're actually going to start brewing with this thing. So I'm excited about this. I can't wait to brew with it. Let me know what you all think of what I've explained so far, and just keep in mind that I won't really know exactly how all of this works until I actually brew it. So that's what we're gonna do right now. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and brew with the ePEBO. I am pouring water in the bottom reservoir, and I wanna make sure that everything is plugged in, and it is. And then I'm gonna hit the power button, and I'm gonna allow the water to heat to the proper temperature. Once it does, that water is gonna rise into the top reservoir, and that's when I'm gonna actually pour in my coffee. So for this demonstration, I'll be using Drive Coffee. Cool company based off of kind of a race car and then just everyday car theme. And I'll put a link in the description below if you want to go and check out some of their products. But trust me, we're going to get to as many of their products as we possibly can. when we actually start testing our coffee in our different brewing methods. All right, we're gonna stir the grounds just to make sure that every ground is wet. We wanna make sure that it's got a good infusion in the top unit. Then we're gonna put the lid back on it and allow it to do its thing. Once it's finished brewing, it's going to drop the coffee back down into the bottom reservoir for serving. I'm gonna gently and with as much care as I possibly can pull the top unit off, because again, it is made of glass. And I'm gonna set it to the side, close the lid on the main pot, and pour it in the glass for serving. So that's using the ePEBO coffee maker. I hope that you enjoyed witnessing me using this device for the very first time, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to share this particular experience with you. With most of these devices, I've used them before, and this will be one of the first times that I've used this exclusively on this channel before I actually begin to use it in my home on a regular basis. In the next video, we're gonna take a look at the Moka pot. This particular version of the Moka pot is self-contained. It has its own electrically charged base that allows the water to heat and then rise and percolate to the top and then become coffee after infusion. All of this will make more sense once you actually see the video. You should expect to see that within the next few days, because I wanna make sure that I roll these hardware videos out pretty quickly here. After that, we have a couple more pour over methods. One was a recommendation from someone in the comments. I put that comment here. And so I'm saying that to let you know that I do in fact read the comments. I do take your suggestions very seriously. And as long as there's something that's relatively affordable or something that we can do on the channel right now, I'll definitely look into it, do the research, and if it's something that I think will help everyone, I'll go ahead and do a video about it. And so make sure you put your feedback below. Make sure you make your suggestions on coffee, tea, or infusion beverages that you'd love to see me try on this channel, or that would be great recommendations for other people in our community. And I'll go out and see if I can grab them and brew them here, as well as use those particular brewing methods to get the best results possible. I'm hoping that you learned something in this video. I'm hoping that it's something that you feel empowered to use yourself. And I hope that it's something that you feel inclined to share with others, because that's a large part of this entire experience. It's essentially what this channel was even made for. We want to make sure that we share the information that we have, and we want to share the different ways that we brew coffee, tea, and infusion beverages. And we're doing all of this because we want to make sure that we brew whatever we brew better. Until next time, peace.